Welcome to the Rainer Report. Now, just so you know, I'm in our new facility in downtown Nashville. And this is part of the Lifeway headquarters. The bricks behind me are the original bricks of Lifeway back in 1891 when a guy by the name of James Marion Frost founded this organization. This was the outside of his office. So it's pretty cool that we're remembering the past. You may even hear some construction noise going on because we're in a high construction area. You may hear one of these contraptions backing up and going beep, beep, beep. I know we had that on the last time. You may hear some other noise. That's okay. I absolutely love this place. I'm looking out over downtown Nashville. I'm looking straight and to my right. You can't see it. You got the bricks, but I just want you to know that that is where we are. I want to welcome you to this Rainer Report. And I ended one of my previous sessions, I ended it with what happens if someone really comes up to you with a hard-hitting criticism. Particularly, they even say, I think you should resign. And I ended that particular session by saying, let's move on to the positive. Let's move on to things that generate enthusiasm, that encourage you. And really one of the best ways to do that is an outward focus. And before we even begin to move on to some of these suggestions on how to keep an outward focus, let me thank Tim Songster and Costco. Costco is a design build firm. They have built so many churches, and they have done an incredible job. I know many, many pastors. One of them happens to be my son, where they have worked with them. And just every time I talk to someone about Costco, it is just an incredible story. And so you just need to know about them, and you need to know about Costco. And their website, Jonathan, is Church Design. My mind went blank for just a moment. Churchdesign.com, and you can go there and find out about them. They're all over the nation. They're doing a great job building churches and remodeling and renovating churches across the United States. Okay, here's the topic. 4 ways leaders should keep an outward focus. 4 ways leaders should keep an outward focus. Here's the reality. Many of you leaders, particularly you pastors, are getting caught up in the weeds. You're headed toward mission drift, where the mission of the church is to move outwardly, but things in life and activities and the tyranny of the urgent is moving you inwardly. And so that outward focus that got you motivated and started as you were obedient to the Great Commission, you are now beginning to just get caught up in the minutia of life. This happens to all leaders. It happens to pastors, it happens to church staff, it happens to church members. But I want to talk to you, church leaders, about keeping that outward focus. I want to talk to you about what you can do. Because here is the reality of it. You are going to have to push yourself outwardly because the natural move is to move inwardly. You see, the Great Commission is not natural. It is supernatural. It only happens when we are depending upon God to push us outwardly. If we let life just put us in its normal box, we're going to move inwardly. We're going to get caught up in appointments and crises and criticisms and to-do lists. And we're just going to get more and more focused on checking the box instead of doing what we have been called to do. You leaders, all of us, need to look at an outward focus for our lives. I got 4 things I want to suggest to you. And let's go through each of these 4. Number 1, pray for opportunities. I am in a holy huddle. I am in a God box. Now what I mean by that is I go home and Nellie Jo, Christian. Marley, my dog, I wouldn't put in that kind of category, but Nellie Jo is Christian. I come to work, all the people around me are Christians. I go to church, most of them. Now, certainly there's some non-Christians who come on a regular basis, but again, most of them are Christians. I get in my holy huddle. And so, in order for me to connect with people who may not be followers of Christ, I have to be intentional. And one of the ways that has, and again, I don't want to presume upon God, but one of the ways that has almost been without exception, unfailing, is to pray for an opportunity. Sometimes I pray with specificity. Every now and then I go and get my hairs cut. I don't ever just get a haircut. I want more than one haircut, so I get hairs cut. And before I go get my hairs cut, I just say, Lord, let this be an opportunity. I can tell you this, the last 9 times I've sat in that chair with the stylist clipping my hair, I've had an opportunity to communicate about gospel-centered matters. Many of the times they weren't believers, and so that was really cool. A few times they are believers. Just this past week, I sat in the chair, and one of the first things I did was ask her where she was from, found out she was from the community where I go to church. And yes, this person was a believer, but I was able to ask her and invite her to church, and here's what she said. I'll be there, my husband will be there, and we'll be bringing our 2 kids in 2 weeks. That's the first time that we can get there. Wow, you talk about specificity. I prayed for an opportunity. There have been many times I've prayed for an opportunity to share the gospel, and it's unfolded. One of the first things you need to be doing every day is waking up, praying this prayer. God, allow me this day to come in contact with someone with whom I may share the gospel in word and or deed. Pray for opportunities. Number 2, pray to fight discouragement and distractions. You are going to have those discouraging moments. You're going to have those gnats that just all around you. You are going to have those moments where you seem like you can do anything but Great Commission obedience. So as you are praying the positive for opportunities, pray against the negative. Pray to fight distractions and discouragement. Many times we get to be moving inwardly because there's so many things that are pulling us that way. It's that force, that inward force, instead of that spirit-led outward force that puts us in obedience to the Great Commission. Pray that you will fight those distractions. Pray that you will fight any discouragement that may keep you inwardly focused. Third, learn from other leaders. Some of the most exciting things I've ever done is just listen to other leaders and how they have taught me about opportunities to share the gospel. One of my mentors is the late Louis Drummond. He was my both my master's and my doctoral supervisor, and I worked for him for a while. And I just watched him as he shared his faith on a regular basis. And I learned from him. I wish I was more like he was in sharing his faith. In fact, even as he was dying in the hospital, he was sharing the gospel with the medical attendants who were around him. I learned so much by watching him. There are many others that I have watched and learned from. You can learn from a lot of leaders about a lot of leadership principles. But talk to those men and women who are really passionate about sharing the gospel on a regular basis, about keeping an outward focus, about inviting people to church. I've even asked people who are regular about bringing others to church. How did that happen? Oh, I just prayed for the opportunity, and God just gave me the opportunity to invite this person to church or to share the gospel. Learn from other leaders. Fourth and finally, you really need to put an outward focus on your calendar. Now, God through His Holy Spirit will provide moments of spontaneity. You cannot calendar the Holy Spirit. But you know what? If you don't put the outward focus on your calendar, it's probably not going to happen. If you don't set up a time to go have coffee with that person that you met, it's probably not going to happen. If you don't get out in the community by putting it on your calendar, it is probably not going to happen. Again, you can't calendar God, but you can calendar your time. And you can let God know that during this time, you, according to His will, want to dedicate this time to an outward focus, to evangelism, to inviting people. You, leader, need to set the pace. If you want the rest of the church to be inviting people and having gospel conversations, you must be doing so as well. 4 things to remember. Pray for opportunities. Also pray to fight distractions and discouragement. Learn from other leaders who can inspire you. And put it on your calendar. What we need in many of our churches are Great Commission leaders who have a Great Commission passion. And these are 4 suggestions to get you in that direction. Thank you for being here for the Rainer Report. Always glad to have you, and always thankful for Costco, our sponsor at churchdesign.com, Tim Songster and his team, Simon and the rest of the team. Great folks, doing a great job building facilities all across North America. Thank you, folks. I'll see you next week in the Arena Report.